when it comes to the sexual energy, we've been learning a lot about this, but I know that you would have some thoughts about a lot of people in society going this way, whereas you have decided to go another way. So what did this book, you know, we both read Mantak Chia's book. I read the Cultivating the Male Sexual Energy. You read Cultivating the Female Sexual Energy. What were some of the things that it taught you that go against the norms in society?
While I'm waking up, would you like to start? Oh God, I'm still waking up.
All right. All right. Still not yet. We're not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed yet. So I'll go ahead and start. So I put down some highlights here from some chapters.
Okay.
Now, it says that most men are sexually weaker than women and lose more energy through sex than women. It talks in like the first few chapters about the sexual imbalance between men and women is obvious. Would you say that it's obvious, the sexual imbalance?
The sexual imbalance in the collective, you mean?
Between men and women, between the genders, would you say that that there's an obvious sexual imbalance?
Between the genders, I have no idea, but I mean, like, it is collectively, it is a sexual energy imbalance.
What would you say collectively that you've noticed that feels imbalanced when it comes to sexual energy?
I mean, nobody knows how to use the sexual energy, right? Like when you were saying right now, the men lose more energy, right, during sex. It's just because men lose energy during ejaculation, right? But women don't. They lose their energy during menstruation.
Okay.
So if a woman can just imagine like how she feels when she have her period, right? That's how a man feels every time he ejaculates. So it's like, you know, it's the energy that's being sucked out of you somehow.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I see it, right? So during sex, women do not lose energy, but women do.
So for the woman, you're saying nothing is lost.
No,
So,
like
so there's not really a cost. Like nothing is lost.
not that nothing is lost, but it's not as the man. It's not like her energy. She loses her energy, but like through ejaculation, she also like loses some type of. I think it was the opposite for the woman. You know, it's more of like for her, it's like learning how different stimulations. You know, to keep that life force energy going, because for some reason, you know, when women reach a certain age, they lose that sexual energy, and everybody have accepted it as like, oh, that's how it goes. Just when you get older, you just lose all of that energy. But it's like they lose it through menstruation, they lose it through other things, and they never saved it up. You know, like women bleed every month, and they bleed for days. So just imagine like losing all of that. You have to learn just how to cultivate it and how to save energy in order for you to stay active or energized throughout your whole life.
Because when you say they never saved it up, you see the same for the woman, like saving up that energy. You see it like an energy bank or an energy tank, like saving up.
It's just keeping up with it. You know, when you start working out a muscle, you have to keep up with that. So it's like, you know, it's different exercises for the woman to keep that life force energy. So it's like you have to maintain this active. You have to maintain, like you have to save in order for you to have something to have. It's just like, you know, your retirement plan. You know, you have to save up, right?
Like okay, like a Roth IRA or something. You're saving it up.
Yeah, yeah. You can't just like lose because that's what we are doing. We just lose it and lose it and lose it and lose it, and then we're empty. And that's why you get like, you know, you have less and less and less the older you get. But you can, if you save enough energy, then you would have the same amount of energy no matter what age you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see it.
So interesting. Now, before we continue, if anybody has questions, because the comments are going pretty quick here, feel free to drop these questions in the little comment box. There's a little question box with a little question mark, that little button. Feel free to drop them in there for Nabiha and I, because the comments are kind of going up here. So it does say, it echoes actually what you were talking about. It says that, you know, sexually in the act, a woman can receive her man as long as she pleases. Thus, the Taoists say that her yin essence is nearly inexhaustible. So you saying like when you were saying that, you know, she doesn't lose anything, whereas the man traditionally he lose something, that goes hand in hand with what they're saying, that her yin essence is inexhaustible. We talk about the yang for the gentleman and the yin for the lady. So yang, yin and yang, right? Or some people see it as yin and yang. But sexual insecurity, it goes on to say, may be the primary reason that men have sought physical, political, financial, intellectual, and religious advantage over women due to sexual insecurity. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Can you explain that?
Okay, so what it was saying in the chapter was that since men are at an imbalance with the female when it comes to the sex energy, that is not inexhaustible for the man when he doesn't know how to control it or retain it or gain it, but is inexhaustible for the woman when she can just constantly receive. Due to that imbalance, there's an insecurity in the male or in the masculine where he feels insecure in the sexual realm. You know, like there's so much demand on, you know, prolonging the experience, and he doesn't know how to be strong in the experience. So he feels like he's going wrong in the experience. So in other areas of life, he will try to bolster himself in order to make up for that difference in the sexual arena. Right? So he'll try to be better physically. He'll try to be better politically. He'll try to be better financially, intellectually, and have religious advantage over the female due to the sexual disadvantage.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see that makes sense. I can see that makes sense. But also, you know, it says in this book that, you know, a woman's pleasure does not actually depend, you know, like it depends on both working together. So it's not like how long and you know, if he can hold it or this and that. It's her. It's her knowing her own body, you know. And if the female knows her body, then she will know how to get pleasure, you know. So it doesn't depend on the man, but a lot of women do blame the men. And
You say they blame them?
yeah, they do. They do blame them, like, oh yeah, he didn't make me feel this way and that way, and you know, it's because of he just, you know, ejaculated too quickly and this, but it's not. That's not what it is. It's just that she don't know her body, because most of the times, you know, women are not. It's like it takes a lot of mental. It takes a lot of, like, you know, setting yourself into that, you know, energy, and you can. The man cannot do it for you. You have to do it. You know, so it's kind of like a work together. So you have to synchronize with the person and then know your own body. But most women blame the man because of, like, it's like, you know, they looking for the G spot, you know, and they want him to find it and they don't even know. And it's like, okay, it will take forever, but you have to find it. It doesn't work like that. You have to come together and work together, you know, and know where it is, instead of, like, you know, having him blindly find it all the time.
Okay.
And if he can control his energy, then of course he will get to it before he revives it, you know.
Good point.
So,
Good point. Now, when it comes to like the sexual prevalence, or some might call promiscuity, there's different opinions, there's different perceptions, there's different perspectives on this. But I recall you telling me about, you know, the different chakras in the body, and how if someone is so focused on the sacral chakra, that energy, you know, in that creative center, that pelvic region, but they haven't established the root chakra, that it's like a tree with no roots that can't stand, that is constantly wavering, and it will topple over and fall at the lightest, provocation. Can you talk about that? What you witnessed when the chakras are not stable,
I mean, like any other concept, people just run with it and just, want to be saved by a concept. That's what I feel like most of us do. So, it's different addictions, food addictions, sex addictions, all kind of addictions. So people who are addicted to sex always want to find a cure. They want to find a way to, get rid of their addiction. So semen retentions comes to mind. Like, okay, this concept, this should save me, like I can still have sex, but I can hold myself, that's the only thing that come to their mind, that they can hold themselves while they're having sex. It's like saying to a drug addict, hey, you can just sniff on your things without them going inside of you somehow, but you're still entertaining the drug. So it's like they want to get rid of the addiction. So then they go for less semen retention and then let me control. But they haven't understood the energy. What is it to cultivate energy? Why do you want to hold back? It's not just because of, you are addicted to sex and you just don't want to ejaculate anymore. But why are you doing it? Right? Once you understand that you don't actually have to ejaculate all the time, and that's not what it's supposed to be, because this is like you create life through that, and it's so much power in it. So if you just keep that power within yourself and you know how to recycle that, and then you have a partner that you can recycle it with, I mean, that's when you understood the energy cultivation part of it. So you wouldn't even think about holding yourself or semen retention, this and that, if you understood the concept of energy, right? And then automatically it would be like a muscle that you would have to train silently, and it takes two to then tango. So with your partner, you have to practice that if you're going to have a partner. So, and a woman do not get, her pleasure by a man ejaculating. It's the whole action of it, right? So I don't know why women would demand someone to ejaculate. I don't see that. If the man is getting pleasure without doing it, like she's not getting pleasure of getting, whatever he have to give. It's just like, why would you empty him when it's not even benefiting you, And it's not life that's going to be created by that as well. So it takes two, really. But first get rid of the addiction, and you have to ground yourself. You have to understand. So that's what I mean by, you're a tree with no roots. Because once you understand what energy is, and you know like how to cultivate this energy, then you would understand that you just don't have sex here and there. It's like, oh, I can hold myself so I can have like sex with multiple women here and there. No, you're still, using your life force energy. Even though you're not ejaculating, you're still using it because of you using the same energy, because you haven't understood. But when you're grounded and your roots are stable, then you can work on that energy cultivation. That's the second chakra, right? And it has something, it's not only sexual energy, it's like all kind of desires, like it's the way you control yourself. And if you don't have your roots stable, there is no way you can be disciplined, your roots are where the discipline comes from. So if you don't even have a discipline, and now you wanna hold back your desires, you're just playing with yourself.
Interesting. Wow. I love this perspective. So, when you say that the woman doesn't even get pleasure from a man ejaculating or releasing himself of his life force, letting go of, his vital fluid, the life force. When you're saying that a woman doesn't derive pleasure from that directly, where do you feel like that stigma comes from? Or where does that stereotype or that perception of, that it's necessary for that to happen, where do you feel like that comes from? Where they say like they actually want that? Why?
I mean, I can see for a woman that maybe she thinks that, oh, if he's not ejaculated, that means like he didn't enjoy it, or he didn't get the pleasure, or I can't make him come. You know, that's their mind. That's how they think. But that's because of she's not aligned with herself. But a woman who's aligned with herself would understand that this is energy that you keep, and it's you just have to like clean yourself afterwards. That's the only thing you would do. Like you save yourself that time too. So it's like it's just an ego. It's an ego thing for the women.
That's an ego thing?
Yeah, it is an ego thing. It is an ego. Because she's not even getting pleasure, so why would she, especially if you let her know that this is what you are doing and she still wants it. It's like same thing when you tell people like, oh, I'm fasting, and they tell you, hey, you should eat.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's just something that comes out of them that just want you to eat, and they tell you like everything about food. It's the same thing with the woman too. Like, what is it that you're getting out of a man ejaculating? Like if you can get the pleasure.
Okay. So is it like okay, like somebody who's fasting or doesn't want to eat,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then somebody really wants to cook for them. They want to make them a nice meal, and they say it'll be delicious. I promise, it'll be good. You could just have this. It'll be good. And then they just finally they say, okay, fine. And then as soon as they taste it, that like there's some satisfaction that the other person gets, that they tasted their meal or that they had something that they cooked just because they said that they didn't want to.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. But what would that person gain from you tasting the food?
Right.
They're not gaining anything. It's the same thing. But in a relationship, it's more like, hey, let's go to a restaurant, and you're like, oh no, I'm fasting, and yeah, it's fine, but I can only eat. It's like we agreed on, okay, I can eat, and then when we go to the restaurant, I just make some fight, like why are you not eating?
Right. So it's ego?
It is an ego. It's a weird ego.
Wow.
It is a weird ego.
Wow. Okay. So let me see something. Yeah, just like Louisa said, very interesting. So Haruka is saying, "Hey Haruka, blessings to you. Konnichiwa from Japan. How can women save energy as we age?" says Haruka.
I mean, that's that energy. It's like a flame, you know? The sexual energy is like a flame. And you need to keep that flame. And I think it's like for women it's more of exercises, you know, exercises down here. That can keep, your muscles and your system going, and then that way it just stays active.
What is
Hmm?
what is that, like Kegels or Pilates? Like what kind of exercises you talking about?
So they had in this book they had some cool exercises.
What was that,
Um,
the ovarian kung fu?
Ovarian breathing, yeah, they do ovarian breathing, and then there was this weird one, but it was actually I don't I don't even know if I want to talk about it in here. But there
You
was
don't have to go in detail. They can get the book if they want to go in detail, right?
just get the book at least. But they do have a lot of workout for women. But I think the only way for a woman to keep that energy is actually really use it.
Mm.
Yeah, you have to use it. And I don't mean like be actively, like sexually active. It's not that. It's just like, giving that area attention.
Putting your awareness there.
Yeah. Like don't make it dormant, like we can easily, like they said, men are more sexual, right? Women can be like still a bit longer than a man, I believe.
Oh, true. Okay.
Yeah. So,
That's true.
and then when you go into that celibate mode, you just forget, and you get numb somehow. So it's like that flame dies. So you need to keep the flame up and keep it.
Now, so if you can wake something up, then that means it can go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm. And
If
it
it can
gets
wake up,
comfortable sleeping, yeah.
yeah.
It gets comfortable sleeping, so you don't want that.
Right, right. So we've actually both been in our lives, throughout our lives, we both had periods of celibacy. And, you know, I've had periods of celibacy that I didn't even know I was going into celibacy, but that's where I was going and that's where my path led me. But what do you feel like during, you know, those periods where you went without? You know, what do you feel like you retained? What do you feel like you gained? And then also, what do you feel like you missed? What were you missing during those periods?
I think I used to go just celibate, you know, just it would just automatically happen, and you can go a year, but or two. But I mean, what I've gained, I wasn't good at keeping it active. You know, I was just forgot. I just forgot that part of life, to be honest. But what I missed was more like intimacy. It
Mm,
didn't have to be like sexual. You know, it's not like, you know, I was like, oh my God, this is what I need. But it was more of, I miss that intimacy, you know, like skin to skin with another person. So it was more of that than sex itself.
the subtle sensations.
Mhm.
Subtle. Okay.
Yeah, the sort of sensations. Hmm.
Okay.
What about you?
It's the little things. Yeah, for me, those were periods of really working on myself, really establishing, like you said, that root chakra, you know, the tree, really getting my tree trunk down into the earth and, you know, getting that firm foundation. But during those times, I think I never had more self-love for myself than I did in my entire life during the
Wow.
times that I went celibate. And this was celibacy without ejaculation. So I went into, you know, after the relationship that I was in for a decade, it took a while, but then slowly when I got around the monks and nuns, that led me into a celibacy journey where I was just with myself and just so content, just so it wasn't a complacency, but it was a contentment. It was peaceful. And I didn't need to prove anything. I didn't need to be anyone. I didn't need to go anywhere. I didn't need to do anything. And I didn't need to exercise or compete or I was complete. You know, I didn't have to feel like my sexual prowess needed to be harnessed on another person. You know, I was completely just within myself. And I feel like that was one of the greatest periods of my life when it came to my own cultivation and just my own awareness with the energy within me because I mean I was utilizing that energy for all kinds of things. I mean, when we talk about, you know, things germinating, things being impregnated and things being inseminated, I was doing that figuratively. I was doing that with online businesses and with books that I was writing and with things that I was creating and making and bringing to being. You know, I was using that creative energy from source, you know? So in that instance, I was very satisfied. I was very fulfilled. And then it never felt like there was a lack. It felt like there was an abundant and a constant flow. And then when I went back into, you know, back into the sexual energy that I was used to before and allowed myself to explore even more, I went into Tantra and I went into things that this book is talking about when, you know, when he's talking about cultivating together with another partner. And I was thankful that I had someone at that time who was willing to try.
Mm.
They were willing to try something unique, you know, for the path that they saw I was seeking, you know, that I was seeking to not have the depletion of my secretions every single day. So they were like, okay, I guess let's both go that way. You know, how can we both do this together? So that allowed me to get better at that practice. But had it not been for that experience, I wouldn't have built up the confidence that I have today. So I'm thankful for it, but I do understand and I actually do resonate with you on the intimacy level because when it comes to all the love languages, you know, the 5 love languages that we know of, physical touch, as you know, is my love language. So I was missing out on that when it came to contact with others. So yeah.
Yeah, I can see you having that kind of experience because it's kind of a pressure on men when it comes to sex. You know, it's like too much expectations. So I can imagine you feeling that just relief, you know. But now nobody's expecting anything of me. You know, you're not comparing yourself to anything. You're not thinking of you. It's like I think it's wrong for society to say that it's a man's job to satisfy a woman when it comes to that sex. You know?
You think it's wrong?
Yeah, it's wrong because you put so much pressure on the man, but it's not true. It's like she had to learn how to, you know, control her own energy and how to guide her energy, I should say, not control it, but how to guide her energy. You know? So I think because of that pressure, celibacy is better for men. You know, it gives them that sense of freedom, and you get to love yourself, you know, and know that, okay, I'm just enough, just the way I am. You know, you don't have to compare yourself with another man. You don't have to, like, you know, think like, oh, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Is she okay? Does she like it? But all of that is for men. You know, it's unnecessary. We shouldn't be like that. But society put pressure on men.
Yeah. And
So,
you know, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was just saying for women, it's not the same. Like, I can only speak for myself, but for me, it was like automatic. It was just okay. Like, if I don't have a partner, I'm automatically just celibate, you know? So it's not like I would think of like, oh my God, I need a partner because of sex. And I wouldn't just have sex if I'm not, you know, very connected with a person. So it just come automatically and it just come naturally for a woman, you know?
Wow. I love hearing that side, you know, the female perspective, you know, just the feminine perspective of all this, because we don't always realize, like, we just don't always realize, like, the inner workings, you know. They say, like, you know, we don't understand the other sex. Like, there's so many things that we don't get and that we come to expect. There's a lot of expectation, like you said, with the relations, and then that leads to a lot of frustration, you know, and a lot of confrontation, a lot of complication that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
So,
It's a teamwork, you know. It's definitely a teamwork.
definitely, absolutely, I agree. And Haruka she's thanking you for answering her question here. We have Lotus Born is asking, okay, they're saying, please discuss the dangers of transmuting sexual energy without first processing blockages in the body.
That's like, you know, the root what we were talking about. You have to ground yourself. Like, there's nothing wrong being stuck in square one. Like, you know, just stay grounded until your roots are really deep and stable, you know? So just understand energy cultivation in general without
Right.
trying this idea, without like, you know, consuming this idea. And then this idea will just blend in. Once you understand energy, then you will understand like, okay, what kind of energy? You all energy. Everything is energy, you know? So if you just understand that this energy is very powerful, you know, it's just like the mind. Our mind is powerful. It can create disasters and it can create solutions, you know. So it's the same thing with the life force energy. It's just you have to learn energy in general. Just understand
Yeah.
it.
Just like energy 101,
Yeah.
you know, just go back to the basics, you know.
Basics. Like you, it's just like how to save money, you know. It's just like that's the same way. How to save money? How would you save money? You know, you have to understand what money is first before you start saving it.
So just like how financial stability, you know, to be financially astute, you know, with your finances, with the money coming in, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and the money going out, you know, so you don't go bankrupt.
Exactly.
So that's the same thing with the energy.
Yeah, it's your energy bank.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So being responsible, energy management, you
Exactly.
know.
Responsible is another word. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, Nabiha. I agree, you know, on many levels because I really resonate with that if the energy is not being used for something productive or something constructive, it tends to drift towards the destructive. You know, it goes towards the destructive, and it feels almost like self-sabotage because this gets so many people. It got me for a lot of years, for I would say over a decade. And you know, people will say what they want stereotypically about different signs and zodiac signs. I'm a Scorpio, but you know, not that I just play into that role, you know, by nature, but I have to admit that there are certain typical things that people say about Scorpios that are that's very me. You know, I'm very resonant with a lot of the things that people look at Scorpios for. And so I've kind of accepted that, I've made peace with that, but I've also learned how to maneuver. I've learned how to reroute certain things that would tend to go in another direction. I've learned how to move it to the other direction, you know?
That's
So
because you energy.
go ahead.
That's because you understood how to use energy.
I didn't
right?
always. I didn't always though. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like once you learn how to use energy, then you know where to direct it, right? It's the same thing with this. It's like you're saving, but where do you save it? How do you save it? Right? But I think it's like when, just like any other concept, people take it the way they want, and then you know, it just become another belief.
Like same thing with you know, the sensation that males will talk about. Like men will talk about this sensation. You've probably heard this, but they'll say they get blue balls. You ever heard of blue balls?
No.
No, you never heard of that? Okay. Well, there's this sensation that a man will tend to get if he's sexually aroused, but he doesn't know how to cycle that energy. He doesn't know anything about, you know, Mantak, Chia, the microcosmic orbit circulating and, you know, that energy. It'll just stay in that lower region, right? It'll just stay in the pelvic region. It'll just stay there. And if it just stays there and it's not moving, you don't know how to move it consciously, you'll get what they call blue balls, which is a painful sensation in that area. It's painful. Like it really is painful. It's like for maybe, you know, a couple of hours, you're just in pain because that energy has not gone anywhere. So the man will think like, if I don't release this energy, then there's no point. I have to get it out. It has to go out somewhere. But he doesn't know how to bring it upwards, so it'll just go outwards.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, you see?
Yeah. So there's so many things that people will talk about, like, oh, you know, the prostate gland, and I don't want to get prostate cancer, and don't you know this will happen if you hold it in, and this and that, and like you have to release it, you have to release it, you have to release it. A man must do this, a man must do that, but we don't have to. We have a choice.
You can guide it.
Right.
You can guide it. And our body is used to recycling, like our blood is always like flowing. Like things are supposed to be recycled. Our body should be able to do that. And in order for us to use that energy, right? If you can create life on the outside, what do you think you can create on the inside? Right?
Come on.
So, like, I think it's another addiction. And I think people just don't know how to guide their energy. That's why they have like multiple partners and, you know, just wasting it here and there and just using it up. So it's just because they don't know how to save it. They don't know how to use it. They don't know how powerful it is. They don't know how important it is, you know. And then, you know, when our bank gets empty, we get older, we just blame it on age. But we don't blame it on our habits and what we did with it, you know. It's like, oh, yeah, it's just the years, you know, that's why my bank is empty. No, the way you were using it that made it empty.
Right. It's like I remember hearing this guy, you know, and he had one of them old cars, or like those old Fords or old trucks or just an old vehicle, really old. And it was made like decades and decades ago, but I mean, he still had it and it still runs perfectly, even though it's got, you know, so many miles on it. And they were asking him like, how does a car like this from an era like that still run like this? And he said, I just paid attention to the manual. I just did what the manual told me to do, you know, just regular maintenance. You know, I took care of the car. I got the, you know, everything changed, all the bells and whistles, and it's built to last. You know? So our bodies are built to last.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You just have to know how to use it.
Right.
Take care of it. Yeah.
It's not the make and model of the vehicle. It's not the year it came out. It's the person driving it.
Mm-hmm. It's how you took care of it. So it's the same thing with age and our sexual energy. You would think like an older lady would have like, a less, because she used it up, right? That's why a younger person would have like more sexual energy, because their bank is just new, right? They haven't used up everything. But then they start using, because they have so much, they just have to use, because they don't know what to do with it. But if you once you understand how to save it and you start saving it, you will still have that life force energy active, just the way like when you were younger. But it will stay the same. It doesn't matter how many years that pass. This is how you save it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, a 20-year-old can run out at their when they in their 30s, before someone else in their 60s can still be more active. So
Yeah. Yeah. So we can put a lot of mileage, on our vehicles way before our expiration date.
exactly.
We can have a lot of mileage.
Because the fuel that you put in also matters, like all of it. So yeah, the wrong fuel and you're just wasting money. It's the same thing. You're using all the wrong things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. For a long time I was just giving it away frivolously, frivolously thinking that, that I had an infinite, amount to just give away and disperse. But yeah, I think once you know why, and that's why reading these books that we're reading is so important, because once you understand why, you can accomplish any how. Like the how will take care of itself when you know why.
Exactly. So that's the root chakra. Once you know the why, you know, so then you know the how.
Hmm. So we have another question. So we have Julian says, all right, he's asking, what books do you recommend to learn energy? What are the real life equivalents to Energy 101? You want to say that?
You want to recommend any books?
Well, we can recommend this one for starters. It's Mantak Chia's book, and the book is titled Taoist Secrets of Love. There's a female version, there's a male version.
Mm-hmm.
So cultivating male sexual energy or cultivating female sexual energy. So the Taoist Secrets of Love, they actually go into it. It's not just on, love making in general, but it actually covers a wide gambit. It covers the whole spectrum of, energy and energy cultivation. So that's a really good start. And yeah, there's a lot of other books, but some other ones that come to mind when it comes to, energy in general. I know that, books by Hilton Hotima have helped me out. There's been also books by different teachers, different sages, different saints, different books that have kind of put me on a different wavelength. What was one of those books for you?
I mean, I couldn't think of any book that's taught me about energy, but I was just thinking about, does it, I don't know if there is a book out there that talks about how everything is just an energy. I don't know. Have you come across one?
Well, I was just reading one last night. I sent you a screenshot. That book is called Visual Festation by Pete Pete Adams. It's different. It's more on the law of attraction,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but it also goes into quantum physics, and it talks about everything is energy.
Okay,
The
yeah,
world.
that would be a good one.
Yeah.
That would be a good one. I don't
Also,
know if Joe Dispenza's books, any of them.
yeah. Also, those natural laws, from the Kabbalion, the law of vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Everything moves, nothing rests. There's different books that just
Yeah.
talk about energy in that way that just they slightly just change and tweak the mind, and then you see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Don't even take the ones that we recommend you or anything. Just Google
Right.
like books that talks about energy and whatever, and then you look at it, whatever that resonates with you, start with it.
Right.
Like your subconscious will really pick sometimes. And then just go through that. Just read whatever book that speaks to you. And then step by step you'll get into the one that will really, really click for you.
Yeah, I agree. You'll gravitate naturally.
Yeah.
It's a, knock and the door shall be opened unto you, right? Seek and you shall find, right? It's cliche. We've heard it so many times, but it makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. Like what you're looking for, you will find it. So he has one more question. He says, what are strong enough reasons to preserve energy, to be aware of energy drainages?
What was the question? Like, what was the advantages, or what did you say?
Strong enough reasons that you would say to be aware of energy drainages.
I mean, it's your whole life force energy, you know? It's like, I see myself as an energy bank. Like, I walk into a room, it's like, okay, I can afford this much, and I can afford that much. So throughout my day, I kind of like see it as that way. Like, what is it that I can give energy to? Can I afford this one? Can I afford that? Just like you would use like money. That's how I use my energy. So just listen to your body and know, like, what is it that brings you more peace, what brings you more joy, and then see it as that, like, okay, whatever that drains you, it's like you can't afford it. It's too expensive for you, so just move on. And then the other ones, you're saving some money on it. So it's, yeah, that's how I see energy, whatever that drains me, I just can't afford it.
Yeah. Because certain things, it feels like you're making a down payment.
Exactly. And you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Some of them is like a mortgage for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
So to be on one accord, we ask what we can no longer afford, right? What can I no longer afford? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I see. What about you?
No, I love that answer. That was beautiful. I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better. Yeah, like what can I know? Like, they talk about peace and they say that if anything costs you your peace, it's too expensive.
Exactly.
It's,
It is too expensive.
it's too expensive.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you bump into someone and they just gave you some bad energy. Your whole day is messed up because of that. Like, can you afford that? You could have made a lot of good energy that day, So, yeah.
Yeah. So there's things that we should, or that we start to take into account. We do some energetic accounting, right?
Exactly. I don't know how to do like normal accounting, but I know that one. I'll master that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Become your own financial advisor, when it comes to your energy bank account.
Yes.
Realize what's going in, realize what's coming out, and then weigh the two,
Should write
Weigh-
a book about that. Yeah. Yeah. The real finance.
the real finance, it's all we have.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I love your perspective. This, this is like, I love this, and, for those who are listening, thank you for joining us live. If you were here live, if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much. And also, this will be up on our podcast, Nabiha and I, we just recently started one. It's called Pranic Perspectives. And this will be up there as well. You can find that podcast, Pranic Perspectives, on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. They're on both platforms right now for your listening pleasure. I think about maybe 18, almost 20 episodes right now that are logged there for you, your listening pleasure. So, wow, thank y'all so much. Just go ahead.
We have 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And counting. And counting. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much, Ron. And thank you, everyone.
All right. Bless you. See you soon.
Bye.
Take Take care.